Welcome to Paul Champlina's Talking Property channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Paul Champlina Talking Property. And today we are talking auctions. Anything and everything you need to know about auctions. And who else but to talk about auction? My good friend, Andrew Binstock. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Thanks
Thank you very much.
me.
Auction House London. I think what I wanted to do in this episode and for our viewers is to really break down what it's like selling at auction, buying at auction, what's the trends, what's been happening, and also what's the pitfalls.
Okay.
And actually, why is property investment still a really good thing at buying at auctions? So let's break it down.
Sure.
Why should people be buying at auctions in 2025, Andrew?
Auctions are no longer this sort of underground club for people who only have inside information. Every single piece of auction information is fully available on the internet. We market all our properties, Rightmove, Zoopla, all those usual portals. So now the buying market's seen it. There's TV shows out there explaining how it all works.
And you're on Homes Under the Hammer?
I'm on Homes Under the Hammer, and that has been an absolute magical show for promoting the glory that is property auctions, the journeys those buyers go on, the way you make the money, the pitfalls, all that kind of stuff is now out there. But in terms of what you said, is 2025 still a great time to be? It's never been better. I mean, as I keep saying, there are so many people who are doing well buying at auction now. There are just an abnormal number of people who seem to get it. In the old days, no one got it. It was so scary. But what if I haven't got this and what if I haven't got that? The reality is, as long as you are not completely going in blind, we promote all the properties correctly on, say, video walkthroughs. There's always ways to go and look at the property. You can always go to one of the open days. You can always get a lawyer to read the legal pack. You can pay now. There's companies like DocuWise that will read the legal packs for you. All these things.
I suppose AI really helps now as well. Yeah.
So in the old days, it was so scary. Well, I haven't had a chance to see it. I haven't had a chance to this, and I've only got 2 weeks to do everything. All that's gone now. It's the easiest thing in the world, even if you are an inexperienced property buyer. Right. So are there deals to be had in auction? Of course there are. You know, as I always say to people, ultimately, if a buyer is prepared to pay, I don't know, 200 for a flat and the reserve is at 150 and they win it at 170, the sellers had a bit of a result because they were happy to get 150, they got 170. The buyer was going to go up to 200 and only had to pay. There's two winners in that journey, right? So it's not like there's always a loser, like the seller's underselling. This whole myth that sellers always have to undersell at auction and win the place of last resort. It's not the case.
But isn't there this myth that and this is the myth, right? Isn't it the myth that you're selling at auction? Is there something wrong with the property?
This is what I'm saying,
You need to sell it quickly. You'll take a discount. Is that obviously that's part true, but is that a myth?
Totally. I mean, ultimately, the properties that do the best are the ones that haven't been sort of exposed for months on end through private treaty and where we're the last resort. Like, I'm desperate. Like, no one else wants it. Can I sell it through you? So in those cases, of course, then you're going to have to lower your price a bit to attract some.
But you're no longer a last resort, aren't you?
No way. The best people, the best properties that do well are the ones that come to auction first. We luckily have lots of lots.
So they won't go to an agent, open agent. They come straight to you.
One of my biggest clients, in fact, two of my biggest clients are both probate disposers are properties, and they know that if it goes through the estate agency route first, it's probably going to sell for less than if you put it straight into auction. These are unmodernised houses. Everyone loves an unmodernised house.
And time is money. Time is money,
but ultimately they want to expose it once and get Listen, it's real simple. If you've got something that's really good and lots of people want it, and you can make them all compete against each other, and you've got someone like me screaming numbers at them and going, you've got another 1,000, give me another 1,000, give me that. People go, okay, and the price goes up and up and up and up, and people whose maximums are 200 will suddenly maybe go to 205, 206.
Does that happen often? Always. I mean, people just get sucked in and have a budget. They have all good intentions.
It's not about being sucked in, but if you've taken a day off work, you've spent time and effort, you're excited, you've got your laptop open, you're ready to bid, you and your business partner, your spouse, whatever, you're like this, oh my God, we're really going to get. And the property ends up going slightly above where you're at, should we just go a little bit more? Should we go a little bit more? And this is what happens. Of course, it's natural human behaviour. So from that side of it, the buyers, listen, they're still in complete control. I can only coerce and cajole as much as I can. I can only sort of say, go on, give me that. And you can say, no, you don't have to. So if you're very disciplined, and you stick to your budget, that's it. But ultimately, I always feel if humans are like this, if you've taken the time to stop everything else you were going to do that day, you really want whatever that property is, lot 28, whatever, and it's quite close to where you're going to go a little bit more, aren't you? That's just natural behaviour. So the sellers always get an amazing outcome as long as the property is popular beyond, say, one bidder. So if you've got one bidder, that's when I suppose there's a slight issue where a seller might say, well, did I really get the best price because there was only one person bidding? In the old days, you would never know until you're in the room. Now we can see who's registered to bid, right? But if you've got competitive bidding, Paul, competitive bidding, that's when it goes crazy. You just need two.
What was the most competitive time? Since you've been an auctioneer since early 2000s, right? When was the time when it went absolute frenzy?
I would say, ironically, COVID was an amazing time.
I know, because the stamp duty.
It's just nuts. So what happened was, we all just assumed that COVID was going to kill the property industry. It did the exact
Well, it killed the
reverse.
commercial market.
Probably, I suppose, but luckily we're predominantly residential. And what was happening is people are stuck in their houses, they weren't going on holidays, they were
saving money.
Suddenly they want to buy to let somewhere, they want a second home in Cornwall or whatever it is.
But do you want to explain about the stamp duty, how that really kicked things off?
Yeah, well, they basically gave all these stamp duty holidays and they made it such that for the first, they took off the 125 and half a million. They made it just so much more appealing to buyers. But buyers were bored. They wanted to spend their money, and they had this sort of desire to invest. They were depressed. They weren't going on their holidays. They weren't spending their time.
And did you do a lot of online auctions during COVID?
We were the ones that we basically. So if you remember all the dates, lockdown came in on the 23rd of May. Was it March? March, 23rd of March 2020. We had an auction set for the room on the 31st of March. We had 8 days from the government saying you are not allowed to now be all in the same room together. Bear in mind, we'd listed a whole load of properties with all our sellers, needing to sell, and we had to somehow create an environment where we could still offer all those properties to all the buyers that wanted to buy them. And so I'll never forget it. We had an 8-day turnaround where we had to completely reinvent all our terms and conditions, get our tech guys in. We couldn't all stand near each other and it was like miles apart. And we had to run a couple of tests, and we basically did the first live stream auction, which is now the model most people copy. We were just by the way the dates work, we were the first people through the door on doing that. Thank God it was a massive success, and we eventually we became a live stream auctioneer.
And I think during COVID, I'll admit the first 6 months I struggled. I thought, what is going on here? Mentally, I'm used to travelling, whatever. I was doing webinars every day. I was having like 2,000 people on webinars.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Because you had a captive audience. Everyone's at home.
Everyone's at home, and everyone's thinking about the future and wanting to invest and making sure. I heard the watch market went through the roof. People were buying watches. People going crazy for watches.
That was true.
People were just desperate to get their money into something.
Of course. It was the unknown, wasn't it? So tell me about scenarios where, let's say you have a successful purchaser. Bids. Obviously, explain about what they have to pay deposit, and tell me about scenarios where they fail to complete and what's the penalties. It's a standard question, but some of our listeners...
No, why not? Listen, you come to auction, you've got to be ready to put down a 10% deposit there and then on the spot. So you win the auction, the gavel comes down, there you go, wire the money straight away, now. Right. There's no going to borrow that money, you need that today. So you have to have the 10%. You then have 20 working days, as a standard condition to complete. Right. I mean, a seller might change that if they wish to, but if the seller says nothing, it's 20 working days. Right. And everyone says, you can't get lending. You can borrow money on most properties.
Bridge. You get bridging loans.
Right, so bridging became a real phenomenon when people were slow and not realising that it takes time for a typical mortgage lender, Halifax, whoever it might be.
Slower than ever before.
Right, there was a backlog and surveys were taking forever and all this sort of thing. So, people were panicking, and there was this huge growth of bridging lenders during that time as well. So,
but it became a bit unregulated. That was the problem, wasn't it?
I suppose so. I mean, listen, we're not bridging lenders ourselves, and we work with loads, or we work with, in particular, one, but we know of lots of them, and they're all doing very well. The reality is, we don't want our buyers to go to bridging. Bridging is a last resort. You talked about last resort before. That is a last resort. Listen, it saves your deposit, because you asked the question a minute ago, what happens if I don't complete on time? You lose your deposit. Not only do you lose your deposit, Paul, but you run the risk that the seller will sue you for the balance as well.
Does that often happen? Does it, or they just take the 10%?
They take the 10%,
and they walk away and relist it.
You and I both know, and certainly in your line of work, if the person hasn't got any money, you're not going to go after them, are you?
I know that.
So if a reputable, well-known person of affluence has not completed, you may
be on the hook. Yeah.
Well, you may choose to go after, but you've got a 2-year journey.
It's time, it's cool and stuff like that. So tell me now, with regard to the market now in 2025. I mean, obviously, you know, we talked before about, you know, there's 30, 40 big players in the market. There's still physical auctions that are happening every month. You do the hybrid. I mean, you how many lots do you do over 2 days? I mean, I've seen you like a machine.
We're 350 lots typically every 5 weeks, 10 times a year.
350.
It's nuts. It's a
and
real.
That's 2 days.
2 days.
From what time to what time?
So day 1 will always start at 9:30, goes on till about 6:30, and day 2 starts at 10 and goes on till whenever it goes on till typically about 4 o'clock. We normally load up day 1 with more lots than day 2, and that's just kind of how the clients seem to like it. Again,
and they can bid online or one on the phone.
Listen, you and I both know certain people. One, I won't name them, but he once said to me, the thing I love about this new regime is that in the old days, I'd have to get in my car, drive all the way down to London, find somewhere to park, pay my congestion, sit around, listen to you talk crap for hours. Eventually, my lot comes up.
And that's just your wife.
That's actually a great point, yeah. And he goes, and then I wouldn't even win it, and then I've got to do the whole journey in reverse. I've wasted my whole day. Yeah. Now I can open up my laptop, sit in my pants, wait for the lot to come up, listen in the background. Oh, it's not the next one. Quickly do my typing, bang, 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 win, lose, don't run out, bang, the laptop goes down and carry on with my day. So, you know,
the remote world.
The remote world is brilliant. We decided that doing live stream got the best of both. You still get the auctioneer, you still get me screaming and shouting, going, come on, sir, another bid, come on, madam, another bid, and all that business. But you don't make people get in their cars and drive to London. So, you know, it has been really successful. The sellers love it. Why? Because they get so many more people bidding on their lots now. In the old days, you'd be happy if...
It's so wider, isn't it?
Oh, your room would be packed with 400, 500, 600 people. That's loads. Now we get 2,000, 3,000 people registering to bid. Well, of course, because they just have to do this. It's effortless.
And
totally
what,
different.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And tell me, what percentage of people, there's 2 questions. What percentage of people buy at auction with cash?
Yeah, good question.
That's one question. And what percentage are homeowners to investors?
2 marvellous questions.
Yes.
And both of which I'm going to struggle to answer accurately, simply because whilst we shout all the numbers out and then the winning bidder will be passed to our admin team who will effectively then speak to those people, they rarely will go, hello, are you an investor, are you an end user, what are you? We can gauge it sometimes, we can just sense and tell. I would hazard a guess, how many people are cash buyers? I'm going to assume probably about half.
Right, okay.
It just feels like that from the amount of people that ask for surveys and the amount of people that go, oh my God, my bank's being problematic or whatever. Then, I mean, you might get people who started off as mortgage buyers and then quickly become cash buyers because they had to borrow the money off a mate or whatever. And then in terms of what are the profile of our buyers? Are they end users? I think we get a lot of people who are buying to live in, certainly people buying for children. So a lot of mums and dads buying a flat for the kids or whatever. We get a lot of people who are telling us they've never done this before. Oh, I've never been at auction before, I've never done this before. Now, quite whether they've been buying from estate agents or not, I wouldn't know.
Right.
And then you get loads of pros. You do get a lot of pros as well.
So just wrapping up, last few questions. Yeah. If you're selling at auction, right, how much do you pay? What do you expect in an auctioneer?
Okay, so right now, pretty much if you ask for me or any of you say these words out loud, I'd like my entry fee only paid on successful sale. You'll get that. So there's no upfront entry cost whatsoever anymore. You will pay typically between 1% and 2% depending on the value of the property as a commission, no different to an estate agent.
Right.
The purchasers pay a buyer's administration fee for buying if they win, and that's about it. So it's pretty much the same sort of cost you would pay an estate agent. No different there. If you don't sell, if it doesn't make its reserve, we've wasted a lot of time on our own money and it's cost you 0p. But what you'll get from an auctioneer, which you won't get from an estate agent, is that you get competitive bidding pushing the pricing up. And I always say this, if you give it to an estate agent and you list it at 399,950 and they sell it for 399,950, you think, oh, aren't they marvellous? What's really happened there is you've probably undersold it. Had you have given that to an auctioneer with a reserve of, say, 400 and it went for 405, 410, the small amount of commission you're paying just for me speaking extra words every couple of seconds and pushing is well worth it. Even if it was a few pounds more, which I don't think we are, than an estate agent, we'll make that up for you in milliseconds.
Right, fine. So tell me this. Let's talk about buy to let.
Yes.
And the industry that we're in, the private rental sector. Where do you, with obviously what's happening, and you know, you came in one of the landlord events I put on. Obviously, you know, landlords have gone through it. They've had Section 20, the abolishment of mortgage interest relief, interest rates. I have to remind landlords have had 0% interest for a long time, up until obviously 2022.
Yeah.
We've got the Renters' Rights Bill. We've got EPCs.
Yeah.
Are you seeing landlords that are instructing you to sell, and presumably you're seeing landlords that want to buy?
We've always had landlords. You know, we are so regular. There's so much volume, and the auctions come around so thick and fast that we rarely see a complete stop because a bit of a major news events happening. But you are absolutely right. All the regulations and all the problems that have come in the last few months, and what we are likely to see ongoing, London has become a tougher place to be a buy-to-let landlord because you've got to watch this up. Right, the yields are barely even covering the cost now, or whatever. Yeah. So then you've now got to look at the discount to market value, and so you would still take for example, a two-bed flat in a prestigious area, if it was discounted heavily enough, even though maybe the rental yields don't quite perform as well as you'd like. Right. So that's what we're seeing. So now buyers are a bit more discerning as to what they buy, certainly within the M25.
And our sellers being a bit more realistic now.
This is it. So the beauty of auction is it tells you the truth. You know, we're not on a stage. I'm not here to tell you it's worth 200. And if I'm wrong, brilliant. Let me be wrong. It's fabulous when I'm wrong. Yeah. If you've got 16 people bidding on your two-bedroom flat in Belsize Park and the top bid is 512,000, that's what it's blooming well worth. You know, there's no argument there. Yeah. So sellers will often take two goes at it. They might start with one reserve that's a bit too high, it doesn't make it, then we try again. Right. So, this whole myth again that, if it doesn't make reserve, what happens? No big deal. We've got another auction 5 weeks later. Let's try again at a slightly lower price. Yeah. And this happens a lot, Paul. So, in answer to your question,
common, is it?
It never used to be because everything was selling. In a strong seller's market, it was all selling first time. Now, it's more of a buyer's market, but there are still plenty of things being sold at levels the sellers are happy with, but it just might take two goes.
Fine. So I want two more questions, please, and we are going to be done. Fantastic information, really, really, really top tips. So the top tips, if I want to sell a property, what should I be looking for picking the right auctioneers?
If you're selling a property, you want two things. You want a really good physical auctioneer, because they're going to push that price up, and you want the marketing to be spot on. You want to pick an auction company that is really visible on social media. You want a company that's going to push their buyers to register. It's all very well, lots of bidders go, I fancy bidding it. All right, come on, let me help you, help you.
So everyone has to register before?
You've got to register, and it's they've got to do some stuff. They've got to upload ID, they've got to do things. So our team are well drilled in making sure that anyone who sort of says, I'm interested, we get them over there. Listen, I'm not saying you have to use me, but I'm saying that when you pick an auctioneer, make sure that you're getting it well exposed, and the physical auctioneer is going to push hard on the day.
But presumably with auctioneers, there's an association, there's regulation. What's the regulatory?
We're all governed by the Property Ombudsman, which is obviously the redress scheme. If we, on the very, very rare occasion someone's got a major complaint, they go through that. We have to abide by lots of rules. We're governed by all sorts of common auction conditions. We live in a world of compliance, and it's crazy.
It is lots about compliance. The last question I'm going to ask you, someone who would be